It begins with just a few words. Why would you do it like that? You're not good enough. I don't think this suits you. They may sound harmless to others, but to you, they hit like a storm. A knot tightens in your chest. Your heart races. Your breathing changes. And then, those words, simple yet sharp, begin to echo in your mind long after the conversation has ended. You replay them over and over, analyzing the tone, dissecting the meaning, wondering if maybe, just maybe, they were right. Why does criticism hurt this much? Why do a few spoken words sometimes feel like a stab to the soul, cutting deeper than physical pain ever could? Even when the criticism is meant to help or comes from someone we care about, why does it leave us feeling exposed, broken, and small? To understand this, we need to travel back, far back, to when criticism meant something far more dangerous than embarrassment. In ancient tribal societies, belonging wasn't just important, it was survival. Being cast out from the group was a death sentence. Isolation meant no protection, no food, no warmth. So over thousands of years, our brains evolved to equate social rejection with real physical danger. And criticism? It triggers that ancient alarm system. Modern neuroscience proves this too. When you're criticized, the same area of the brain that processes physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex, lights up. That's not a metaphor. Your brain literally treats harsh words the same way it would treat a punch in the face. It doesn't matter that we're no longer in the wild. To your subconscious mind, rejection still feels like a threat to your survival. But there's more to it than just biology. There's also the story you carry, the internal narrative you've crafted over the years. Because criticism doesn't land on neutral ground. It lands on insecurities, past traumas, and deeply rooted self-doubt. If you've ever believed you weren't smart enough, attractive enough, or worthy enough, criticism confirms that fear. It's not just what's said, it's what it awakens inside you. Think about it. A boss saying, "This isn't your best work," might sound mild. But if you've always struggled with imposter syndrome, that sentence echoes in your mind as, "You're a fraud." A partner saying, "You never listen," may ignite a childhood memory of being told you were selfish or inconsiderate. Our reaction to criticism is often less about the present and more about old wounds being reopened. But what if the critic is someone we love? That's when it cuts even deeper. A stranger's insult might irritate you, but your parent, your partner, your closest friend? That pain becomes personal. Their words carry weight because they've seen you at your most vulnerable. They know where it hurts. And sometimes, intentionally or not, they hit exactly that spot. And then, there's the worst critic of all. You. The voice in your head that echoes every criticism you've ever received and repeats it with terrifying precision. You're not good enough. You'll never get it right. They're all laughing at you. That voice often isn't even yours. It's a mosaic, fragments of what parents, teachers, bullies, or toxic friends once said. Over time, you absorbed their judgment and made it part of your internal dialogue. So yes, criticism hurts, deeply. But here's where the story shifts. Because while you can't control whether or not you're criticized, you can absolutely control how you respond to it. The key isn't avoiding criticism, it's developing resilience. Let's talk about how. First, pause before reacting. Your first instinct might be to lash out, defend yourself, or shut down entirely. But in that first moment, breathe. Create space between the sting and the story you tell yourself. Neuroscience calls this response inhibition, the ability to delay a reaction. It's what separates an emotional spiral from emotional strength. Second, consider the source. Who's offering this feedback? Do they care about your growth? Do they know your intentions? Are they projecting their own fears onto you? Not all criticism is valid. Some people criticize out of envy, some out of ignorance, and some, sadly, out of malice. Before internalizing it, ask, is this someone I would go to for advice? If the answer is no, maybe their opinion shouldn't carry so much weight. Third, separate behavior from identity. This is crucial. You forgot the meeting is very different from you're unreliable. The first is about a specific action. The second is a character judgment. Healthy criticism focuses on behavior you can change, not attacking who you are. So when receiving feedback, train your brain to ask, is this about what I did or who I am? That distinction can change everything. Fourth, search for the seed of truth. Even in poorly delivered criticism, there might be something worth considering. Maybe you were late. Maybe you could have handled that conversation better. That doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're human. Growth doesn't come from praise. It comes from honest reflection. But reflection only helps when it's balanced with self-compassion. Let's pause here and ask something deeper. Have you ever noticed how much criticism you absorb in silence? Especially as a child. A teacher saying you talk too much. A parent saying you're too sensitive. A coach shouting that you aren't trying hard enough. These words didn't just sting. They shaped you. They formed beliefs. And now, as an adult, you might still carry those beliefs like invisible weights. This is why it's so important to unlearn the toxic voices that have embedded themselves in your mind. Ask yourself, who does this voice sound like? Whose expectations am I trying to meet? Who told me I wasn't enough? And why do I still believe them? Therapists often use a technique called reparenting. It involves speaking to yourself the way a loving, supportive parent would. When criticism hits you, instead of echoing old judgment, say what you needed to hear. You're doing your best. It's okay to make mistakes. This doesn't define you. That kind of inner voice doesn't make you weak, it makes you resilient. Another powerful strategy? Journaling. Write down the criticism you received, how it made you feel, and what story it triggered. Then ask, what's the evidence? Is it entirely true? Could there be another interpretation? This breaks the mental loop and reintroduces logic into a moment clouded by emotion. Also, consider this. Many of the people who criticize you are deeply critical of themselves. A parent who was never satisfied with your grades may have been projecting their own fears of failure. A partner who constantly points out your flaws may struggle with self-worth. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps depersonalize the pain. Criticism in the right hands can be transformative. Great leaders, artists, and thinkers actively seek it out. They use it to sharpen their craft, to challenge blind spots, to evolve. But the difference is, they've learned to hold criticism at arm's length, to examine it without absorbing it, to use it as fuel, not fire. Think of J.K. Rowling. Before becoming the world-famous author of Harry Potter, she faced 12 rejections. Every publisher said no. Imagine the criticism she must have faced. It's not marketable. Too dark. Not original. If she had believed them, the world would have missed out on something magical. Or think of Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school basketball team. The criticism? He wasn't good enough. Today, he's a legend. What changed? Not the critics, but his response to them. You can't avoid criticism, but you can learn to use it. Let it shape your skill, not your soul. Let it refine your process, not define your worth. So next time someone criticizes you, remember this. Pause. Breathe. Listen. Then decide what stays and what you release. Because you are more than someone's opinion. You are more than your mistakes. You are a story still unfolding, and every critique is just one sentence in a much bigger narrative. Don't let anyone else hold the pen. So, the next time criticism finds you, whether whispered behind your back or spoken straight to your face, don't let it shrink you. Let it teach you. Let it reveal what still needs healing. Let it remind you that you're not here to be perfect. You're here to grow. Because in the end, it's not the words of others that define your journey. It's how you rise above them that shapes who you truly become. If this message resonated with you, if you've ever felt the sting of judgment or the weight of someone else's words, know this: you're not alone. And here, we dive deep into what really shapes the human mind and heart. So hit that subscribe button, because the journey doesn't end here. It's just getting started.